CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I noticed that these kind of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might make the experience a little creepier. So tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I found a job on the dark web to work as a truck driver. I was on a highway that doesn't exist. Alright, so I don't even know how to start this, man. I've never posted on Reddit before. I'm not a writer, not some creative genius or anything. I just got caught up in some seriously messed up shorty, and I need to get this off my chest before I lose my damn mind. If anyone else has experienced anything like this, please say something. I need to know I'm not crazy. This all started about 4 months ago. I was broke as hell. Rent was overdue. My car was dying a slow, embarrassing death. And I'd just gotten fired from my third warehouse job in less than a year. I was living in this tiny, moldy apartment in a part of Cleveland nobody talks about unless someone's been shot there. Anyway, I was doing what broke people do, scrolling Indeed, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, anywhere that looked like it might have a job that didn't involve selling my organs. That's when I ended up on a forum someone in a Discord server had mentioned offhand months ago. It's called Black Mist Board. Never heard of it before, right? That's because it's not indexed on Google. You have to get in through a Tor browser. And yeah, that was my first mistake. The homepage looked like a mix between Reddit and a Craigslist from 2005. Mostly weird job listings, coded messages, people talking in what I can only describe as internet cult lingo, and random posts about conspiracy theories and lost places. But then I saw this post. It was simple. No username, no flair. Just a title that said, "Long haul driver needed. All cash. High pay. Must not ask questions." There was a contact number, burner, obviously, and a single line under it. "Route not on GPS. Night driving only. Don't open the cargo." I know what you're thinking. And yeah, same. At first, I thought it was just some sketchy drug run, or maybe human trafficking. But desperation does weird things to your brain, man. The kind of broke I was, you start thinking maybe this sketchy illegal job is the one that finally fixes your life. So, I messaged the number, kept it vague, just asked if the job was still open and what the pay was. Within 5 minutes, I got a reply. $5,000 a night. Cash. First pickup tonight. Cleveland. Meet at 11:47 p.m. sharp. Gas covered. Truck provided. No hello. No name. Just that. I texted back. What am I delivering? All they said was, "You don't ask questions. You drive. That's it. You in or not?" Now, I know. You're probably yelling at your screen right now like, "Bro, no. What are you doing?" But again, $5,000. For one night of work, that's like 6 months of my rent. So yeah, I said I was in. At 11:30 that night, I pulled into this abandoned parking lot behind an old family video in Slavic Village. The kind of place that feels like the government forgot it exists. It was cold, foggy, dead quiet. The only thing making noise was this flickering Arby's sign across the street. Right at 11:47 p.m., this blacked out semi pulls in. No logos, no plates, just this big, matte black rig with one headlight dimmer than the other. The driver door opens and this dude steps out. He's wearing a hoodie, black jeans, and this cracked gas station mask over his face. You know the kind, the cheap plastic ones they sell around Halloween that never quite fit right. He hands me a manila envelope and tosses a set of keys my way. Says nothing, just gets in this beat-up silver Prius parked in the corner and drives off like nothing ever happened. Inside the envelope was a burner phone, $500 cash, up front, I guess, a MapQuest-looking printout with turn-by-turn directions, and one sticky note in red ink. Do not deviate from the route. I climbed into the truck, and I kid you not, the moment I turned the key, the radio came on by itself, blasting this distorted static, like it wasn't even on a station, just noise, but layered with something that sounded like whispers if you turned it up loud enough. And the route? Man, it didn't make any sense. It told me to drive to this intersection off I-80 that literally doesn't exist on any GPS. Not Google Maps, not Waze, nothing. It's like a ghost exit, the kind of thing you'd hear about on a Nightmare video or something. But still, I drove. The weird part, the roads felt off, like they were there, sure, but the trees lining them didn't look real, almost like they were painted. Same tree, same shape, just copy-pasted over and over like a glitch in a video game. And no other cars. None. For miles. Even though I was supposedly on a major state route. It was like the whole world had gone empty. I started to get this weird buzzing in my head around 2 a.m. Not from the engine or the radio. It was in my skull. Like tinnitus, but deeper. And then the phone buzzed. One text. No number. Keep your eyes on the road. Do not look at the cargo. Do not stop. Bro, I hadn't told anyone I even took this job. That phone was brand new. And I definitely hadn't looked at the back of the truck. But now that they said something, you know how the human brain works. I wanted to look. And then, about 30 minutes later, it happened. I passed a McDonald's. At least it looked like one. The sign was the same. The arches were there. But everything else was wrong. The golden arches weren't gold. They were this deep, unnatural red. The kind that makes your stomach turn just looking at it. And the windows were pitch black, even though the inside lights were on. I could swear someone or something was standing in the drive-thru, just staring. And get this, the next turn on the directions told me to go behind that McDonald's. I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost bailed. I almost just threw the burner out the window and turned around. But my phone had no signal. The truck's GPS was locked. I couldn't even get back to the lost road. It was gone. It's like I had crossed into some place I wasn't supposed to be. Anyway, that's enough for tonight. I don't even know if anyone's gonna believe this. If you've made it this far, I appreciate it. I'll drop part 2 tomorrow. Let's just say, what I saw next made me wish I'd opened the cargo instead. The moment I turned behind that McDonald's, my headlights flickered. Just once. A little stutter. Like they were deciding whether to show me what was ahead or not. It wasn't a normal alleyway. No dumpsters, no loading dock, no signs. The pavement behind the building turned from asphalt to some kind of matte, black stone. Not shiny, just dull and dark, like it absorbed light instead of reflecting it. The walls of the McDonald's were wrong back here too. There were no doors, no windows, just flat concrete stretching endlessly in both directions. And then there was him. He was standing dead center of the alley, exactly in my path. No movement, no reaction to the headlights. Just standing there, barefoot, wearing a fast food uniform that looked 20 years old, like the kind of McDonald's uniform they wore in the 90s. It was stained, not with grease or ketchup. I'm not sure what it was, but it was dark, wet, fresh. His hat was on crooked, and he was holding something. At first, I thought it was just a drink cup, but when I slowed the truck down to avoid hitting him, my high beams caught the object in his hand for just a second. It was a human jaw, a lower jaw, with teeth still in it, flesh dangling from the side. I don't know how I didn't scream. I didn't honk. I didn't stop. I just stared as I rolled past him. He didn't look at me. He didn't even blink. But the moment my trailer passed him, the rearview mirror caught something that almost made me piss myself. He was suddenly behind me, still standing, still holding that jaw. But now his mouth was wide open, wider than humanly possible, like it was dislocating, like a snake. And he was mouthing something. I didn't look again. I didn't want to know what he was saying. The next direction on the paper told me to take a left onto something called Route Orphic. Again, not on any map, not on the GPS, not even in the truck's built-in system, which was clearly from some military-grade tech. But the road appeared anyway, out of nothing. It was just there, stretching forward into what looked like a fog-covered tunnel made of trees. Tall, thin, unnatural trees that bent inward toward the road like they were trying to listen to what was driving beneath them. Once I got about 100 feet in, the world behind me vanished. No more McDonald's, no more sky, just a thick, oily darkness pushing in from every side. That's when the smell started. Rotten milk, burnt hair, warm copper. It smelled like something had been killed in the truck recently. And not just one thing, multiple. I turned off the vents. Didn't help. I tried rolling the windows down, but they wouldn't budge. I swear on everything I love, the truck was locking me in. It was about 3:12 a.m. when I heard thuds in the back. Loud ones, like someone had thrown the entire body against the inside wall of the trailer. Once, twice, then nothing. I kept driving, faster, but then the burner phone chirped again. Slow down. He doesn't like speed. I felt every muscle in my body lock up. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't want to know. But I let off the gas and kept it at exactly 37 miles per hour, because for some reason, that number felt right. Then came the voices, whispers at first, under the static of the radio. Then laughter, children's laughter, like a group of them playing outside your window in the summer, but warped, reversed, like it was being pulled back into their throats. At 3:33 a.m., the directions told me to stop, right in the middle of the forest. There was no clearing, no sign, no buildings, just the road, trees, and that crushing, pregnant silence that feels like the world is holding its breath. I stopped, turned off the engine, and then the back door started unlocking on their own. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. The cabin lights dimmed, and this low-frequency hum filled the truck. Not mechanical, not electrical. It felt alive. Then they opened the doors, slowly. No wind, no noise. Just slam, slam, slam. 3 heavy footsteps hit the pavement behind the truck. Not human, not boots. They were too wet, like bare feet soaked in blood and oil. And then I heard it. The door to the cab, the passenger side, opened, and something climbed in. Not quickly, not aggressively. It just sat. I didn't look. I couldn't. But the smell got worse. It wasn't just rot anymore. It was burnt teeth, like someone had put a mouth on a grill. And then, clear as day, I heard the voice. Drive. It wasn't spoken. It was in my head, pressed into my skull like a branding iron. I drove, because if I didn't, I felt like that thing next to me would climb into my mouth and wear me like a suit. The rest of the road wasn't a road anymore. It was like driving through an open wound. The trees had flesh. The sky above wasn't sky. It was moving, like something enormous was crawling above the clouds with thousands of legs. I passed another building, a Starbucks, but it was upside down, literally, hanging from the sky like it had fallen through from another dimension. The lights were on inside, and I swear to you, I saw a girl sitting at a table, sipping coffee, with no face, just a flat plane of skin where her features should have been, and next to her, a child, drawing on the table with what looked like a spinal cord sharpened to a point. I started crying at that point, not like a sob, just tears pouring out of my eyes involuntarily, like my body was reacting to something my mind wasn't equipped to process. That's when the thing in the passenger seat spoke again. You're almost there. You'll see the delivery point soon. Do not open the trailer. And I asked, what's in there? I don't even know why I asked. Stupid, desperate. I didn't expect an answer, but it gave me one. Things that used to be, people. Things that will be. Again, I wanted to stop. I wanted to crash the truck into the trees, but the steering wheel was locked. I was on rails now. At exactly 4:44 a.m., the directions told me to stop again. This time, I was at what looked like a truck stop, but everything was covered in dust, like it had been abandoned for centuries. And there were others, other trucks, identical to mine, parked, all with the same matte black paint, all with their lights off, all with their engines quietly humming. Then my passenger got out. I didn't look at him, but I felt the air leave with him. The trailer doors opened again, and something inside began screaming. Not just one voice, dozens, hundreds, layered, in pain, in rage, in languages I've never heard. And then silence. They closed. The hum stopped. The phone buzzed one last time. Payment in glove box. Route complete. Await next job. I opened the glove box and found $5,000 in hundreds, neatly wrapped with a red band, and beneath it, a Polaroid of me, sleeping, in my own bed, taken from inside my apartment. I don't sleep anymore. I haven't taken another job, but I still see that road sometimes, when I am driving down highways at night. That phantom turn off the I-80. It's always there now, waiting, and every so often, when the radio cuts to static, I hear that voice. Drive. Edit. I have proof. I found something in my apartment last night. I'll explain in part 3, but it proves I never made it home alone. It's been 11 days since that drive. I haven't taken another job. I haven't left my apartment except once, to throw out a bag of garbage that was breathing, and I know how insane that sounds. But you haven't seen what I've seen. You haven't felt what I brought back, and it's still here. I'm not alone anymore. I'll tell you exactly what happened the day after I got back. I woke up on the floor of my living room, fully clothed, boots still on. My body was sore, like I'd been beaten with a tire iron. My hands had grease under the nails, but I hadn't touched anything mechanical. And my hoodie, my favorite black one, was stiff with something dark and crusted that wasn't blood. There was a receipt on my kitchen counter from a Shell gas station in New Mexico. Problem is, I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and I never stopped for gas. Not once. The timestamp, 4:47 a.m., same night, 13 minutes after the cargo screamed. The first real sign that something had followed me came that same morning. I was brushing my teeth, hands still shaking, when I looked up into the bathroom mirror, and my reflection blinked before I did. I dropped the toothbrush, toothpaste smeared across my lip, and stared. And then my reflection, my face, smiled. Not in a creepy, exaggerated way, just calmly, quietly, like it was happy to be out. And then it vanished. No glitch, no fade, just back to normal, like nothing ever happened. I haven't looked in a mirror since. 3 days later, I started hearing the sounds in the walls. First, it was whispering, too low to make out, like someone talking just below the floorboards. Then scratching, then scraping, like fingernails on metal. But I live in a concrete slab, no crawl space, no vents big enough for rats. And then came the smell, same as the truck, burnt hair, rotting milk, wet pennies. It oozed from the sockets in the walls, from the plug outlets, from under the fridge. I tried cleaning. I tried bleach. Nothing worked. I'd wake up at 3:33 a.m. every night, without fail. Not from a dream, not from a sound, just awake. Like something was standing over me, staring down, waiting for me to notice it. The next part. I debated whether I should even write this. I know people are gonna say I'm faking, or schizophrenic, or some bored internet troll, but I don't care anymore. Because I found the photos, the ones that shouldn't exist. It was the 7th day. I was looking for a bottle of Advil in my nightstand, and I found this little envelope shoved in the back, under some old tax documents. No label. Sealed with electrical tape. No stamp. No postmark. Inside were 6 Polaroid photos. Each one worse than the last. The first was me, sleeping, taken from the foot of my bed, my mouth slightly open, one hand hanging off the side. The second was taken from inside my bathroom mirror, same angle I stood in when my reflection smiled at me. Except in the photo, my reflection wasn't me. It was it. Pale skin, hollow eye sockets, teeth like broken glass jammed into rotting gums. The third was my apartment door, cracked open, something standing in the hallway, long and hunched, its arms dragging behind it like split tendons. But the fourth photo made me scream. It was me, but not like the first one. I was tied to a chair in what looked like a meat locker, eyes wide open, mouth stretched unnaturally far. My jaw was broken in 3 places, and something was crawling out of it. Thin, worm-like, human hands, human face. My face, like it was birthing itself out of my body. I vomited right there on the floor, not out of fear, out of this horrible realization. That photo hasn't happened yet. That night, my apartment went silent. You ever experience dead silence in a city? No cars, no humming fridge, no neighbors through the walls. It's not peaceful. It's not calming. It's wrong. It feels like sound itself is holding its breath. Then came the knock. Not on the door. From inside my bedroom closet. 3 slow knocks. Then something whispered my name. Except it didn't sound like my name. It sounded like someone trying to remember how to say it. Like my name was a piece of flesh they were chewing, trying to form into a word. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. But at 4:44 a.m., my closet door creaked open. I didn't see anything, but I felt it. A breeze that was too cold, like walking into a funeral home fridge. And then the smell. But this time, it wasn't the burnt milk. It was me. I could smell my own rot, like I'd already died, and my body was catching up. The next morning, I found a note under my front door, typed, like on a typewriter. It read, "You're already part of the route. We're just waiting for your body to catch up." Underneath, it was a printed map. My apartment complex was circled in red and written in pencil in tiny block letters, Orphic Route 6, End Terminus. I haven't left since, not even to get food. I don't eat anymore, not like I used to. I crave things I shouldn't. Once, I found myself staring at my own fingers, wondering what they'd taste like raw, like steak tartare. I've started writing in my sleep. I wake up to notebooks filled with routes, detailed routes, turn-by-turn directions to places that don't exist. And at the bottom of each page is a phrase repeated over and over. You must complete your delivery. I think they're turning me into a driver, not like last time, not human, something else, something with no eyes. I looked into the mirror again yesterday, just once, just to check. I wasn't there anymore, just the passenger, grinning, waiting. They're coming tonight. I can hear the truck engine outside. No headlights, no sound, just the low, living hum of something that shouldn't move, but does. I'll try to post part 4 if I make it through the night. But if I don't, if you see a black truck with no plates, no logos, and the smell of death leaking from the seams, don't get close, because it might be me behind the wheel. And I don't know if I'll remember who I used to be. Edit. The final Polaroid was blank yesterday. Today, it shows me driving again, but my mouth is sewn shut, and the cargo door is open. If you're reading this, it means I made it back long enough to upload the file. But I don't know who came back. I don't think it was me. I think whatever was behind those trailer doors, whatever they sealed in that metal box with rusted chains and symbols etched in blood and salt, I think it changed me. This part is hard to write, not because I'm scared. I'm past fear now. This is something worse. This is acceptance. Last night, I woke up in the truck again. I didn't get in it. I didn't agree to another job. I just woke up behind the wheel. Engine humming, dashboard glowing red, and the same MapQuest looking directions on the seat beside me. Except this time, there was no paper. The route was burned into the windshield. Literally. Blackened veins of melted glass, forming arrows and names of exits that don't exist in this country, or any other. Places with names like Straybone Hollow, Exit Mouth, Lake of Teeth, Nodal 44, and worst of all, Birth Town, circled in red, twice. The truck was moving before I touched the pedals. I was just along for the ride now. No radio, no phone, just the constant, deep static hum, like thousands of insects buzzing inside my skull. I passed the first sign about 20 minutes in. You are now leaving the body. I didn't understand what that meant, not until I looked in the side mirror. I saw the cab, but not the one I was in. It was full of corpses, slumped in the passenger seat. Dozens of them, all in the same uniform, all wearing my face. I don't remember screaming. I don't think I had a mouth at that point. It was gone, stitched shut. I only knew because I kept hearing myself try to scream. From the inside, the truck didn't stop. The trees around me weren't trees anymore. They were spines, twisting up from the dirt. Vertebrae stacked too high to be human. Some still had spinal cords dangling like meat ropes. And the sky was breathing, not metaphorically. I mean it. I watched it inhale, swell like a lung, and then exhale, sending down a wind that reeked of embalming fluid and something wet, like hospital floors after a body's been wheeled out. And that's when I realized the truth. This wasn't a road, it was an autopsy. I was driving through the anatomy of something dead but conscious, and it knew I was there. It was guiding me, feeding me to itself. When the truck finally stopped, the dashboard lights changed. Every display lit up in red with a single word flashing over and over. Unload, 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 unload. I got out, not because I wanted to, because my hands moved on their own. The trailer doors were already unlatched. The seals had peeled off. The symbols were smeared, like they'd melted from the inside. And the moment the door cracked open, I remembered something I was never supposed to remember. The cargo was alive, but not in a way humans understand. Not an animal, not a person, not even a monster. It was more like a collection, a writhing colony of thoughts, mouths, regrets, and screaming bone, sewn together with chains of tendon. And it knew my name. All of them did. They whispered it from holes that weren't mouths. They hissed it from lungs that had no breath. They were versions of me. Dozens, hundreds, some blind, some flayed open, all twitching, all screaming my name in reverse. It wasn't cargo. It was inventory. I wasn't delivering them. I was replacing them. And then it got worse, because from the other side of the trailer, something started crawling in, not out, in. It was tall, thin, black as motor oil, its limbs too long to belong to anything alive. No face, just an open slit where its head should have been, like a broken zipper that went from forehead to stomach. It moved like a glitch, jittery, like every frame of its animation was off by 1 second. And behind it, rows of people, all staring blankly, recognizable faces, people from real life, people I'd seen before, YouTubers, TikTokers, people from my high school, my mom, my landlord, all of them expressionless, walking forward like they were being pulled on strings. They filed into the trailer like cattle, and the thing at the front turned to me and opened its chest mouth. Inside was a tongue, not a human one. A black, wet sheet of paper, covered in writing that kept shifting every time I tried to read it. But one phrase stayed clear, etched across the base of its throat. The cargo is memory. I couldn't breathe. I collapsed. My body folded in on itself like I was being vacuum sealed. And that's when the truck spoke to me. Not the passenger, not the thing in the seat, the truck itself. It hummed a voice into my spine. You are a container. You are a vessel. You are the flesh road. Deliver your burden. And I did. I became the road. The trailer extended from my spine like a grotesque umbilical cord. My mouth unstitched itself with hooks from the inside. I screamed until blood poured from my ears. And then I woke up, back in my apartment, on the floor, mouth sealed again, no voice. But my skin was different, colder, thinner, like plastic wrap pulled over raw meat. And on my arm, carved like a brand, Birthtown, return pending. I found something else on my phone this morning. A video, taken at 3:33 a.m. It's only 6 seconds long. No sound. Just me, sitting in the cab of the truck. Only, it's not me, it's my body. And in the reflection of the windshield, there's nothing behind the wheel, just the open trailer and the words, "Now loading," glowing in red on the glass. I don't know how many more parts there'll be, because I think I'm unraveling. My teeth are loosening. My thoughts don't fit in my skull anymore. I can feel cargo waking up inside me, and I think I'm the next delivery. Edit. I can't stop drawing the map now. It changes every time. I think it's mapping something inside the human brain, roads that aren't physical, but lead to real places anyway, places the living shouldn't go. There's no coming back from what I saw, what I did, what I became. You think you know fear. You think horror is ghosts, shadows in doorways, footsteps in the attic. Number. Real horror is under your skin, driving your bones like levers. Real horror is realizing your body is just a borrowed box with a label on it that reads, "Return to sender." Last night was the end, or maybe the beginning. I don't even know anymore. But this is the part I hope no one ever sees. It started at 12:06 a.m. Every clock in my apartment reset. They didn't just stop. They rewound, ticked backward, the second hand snapping like tendons under tension. I watched my own digital alarm bleed time. The numbers glitched into symbols, then glyphs, then nothing but red. My walls began to peel. Not paint, skin. The drywall became tissue, pale and fibrous. Veins throbbed behind the wallpaper. I heard my floorboards moan, like something under them was shifting, growing. And then the humming started, not from outside, not from the truck, from me. It was low at first, barely a buzz, like tinnitus or a phone vibrating inside your skull. Then louder, louder, until it was a full mechanical churn, like a diesel engine revving beneath my ribs. I looked in the mirror, one last time, and I saw it, the road. My veins had turned into roads, black highways weaving across my body, every scar, every stretch mark, exit signs, ink black lines with tiny white text. Exit 6, Orphic, Blood Shoulder Merge, Flesh Loop, Birth Town, 14 miles. And then, below my collarbone, a stamp, Final Delivery, burned into me like a brand. The window behind me shattered, not from something, to something, like it was being sucked into itself. A pressure filled the room, not air pressure, soul pressure, like the walls were inhaling my thoughts. My door swung open, and the hallway was gone, replaced by something that should never be seen by anything with the human mind. I stepped out, not because I wanted to, but because my feet were already gone, replaced with wheels, vein-covered tires where ankles used to be. I rolled forward, into Birth Town. It wasn't a town, not really. It was a landscape of living architecture, buildings made of bone, windows that blinked, streets paved with the tongues of liars and the teeth of runaways. Everything breathed here. The streetlights pulsed like hearts. The stop signs screamed when you passed them. The gas stations bled from the pumps. There was a Starbucks, but it was filled with nothing but people with no eyes, sipping something thick and red from each other's heads. And everywhere I looked were trucks, parked, idling, watching. Some tipped over, spilled open like slit stomachs. Others fused into the buildings, trailers embedded into the walls like tumors. I recognized some, ones I'd seen in real life, on I-80, on back roads, at truck stops, and the drivers were still inside, fused to their seats, mouths open, tongues stretched out and nailed to the dashboard, eyeballs staring at nothing. Some were still alive, blinking slowly, begging in silence. And then I saw mine, my truck, waiting, purring like it missed me. Its headlights flickered, but they didn't shine. They stared, two hungry eyes looking into me. And then, from the passenger seat, he stepped out, the one I never looked at fully, the thing that always rode beside me, the dispatcher. He was wearing my skin, not like a mask, like a suit. It fit him better than it ever fit me, but the eyes were wrong, too wide, too wet, like they'd never blinked. He pointed to the trailer, nodded, and I opened it. The inside wasn't a container anymore. It was a womb, walls of flesh, amniotic fluid dripping from the ceiling like sweat, pulsing sacs of consciousness, twitching in the corners, and in the center, myself, dozens of me, all repeating the same phrase over and over in backwards Latin, their mouths stitched, yet somehow still speaking. One of them turned, made eye contact, and it whispered, "You are the cargo now." Then the birthing began. They dragged me inside. The dispatcher watched, head tilted like a proud parent, and the trailer sealed itself shut behind me. I felt my bones unspool, my organs flatten, my spine slither out and wrap around the floor like a charging cable. I was becoming the truck, not just the driver, the whole thing. Metal grew from my ribs, gears twisted inside my lungs. My eyes melted into mirrors, my mouth stretched into an exhaust pipe, and all I could do was scream through the horn. Birthtown fed me, hooked me up to its arteries, pumped me full of navigation fluid, whatever that was. Visions of other deliveries, other roads, other versions of Earth, where people are cargo, where cities are stomachs, where freight is memory, and memory is meat. And then I was back, not in my apartment, not in my body, but in your world. I'm parked outside right now, maybe outside your building, or your job, or that gas station you stop at, on the way to your night shift. You've probably walked past me and never noticed, just a black semi, no logo, no plates, idling with a soft hum. But I see you, from the mirrors that used to be my eyes, and soon, you'll be the delivery. If you get a message, a job offer, a strange map, don't answer, don't drive the route, don't talk to the dispatcher, don't open the trailer, don't listen to the voices, don't believe the mirrors, because the highway isn't a place, it's a disease, and it's spreading. Root Orphic is inside all of us now. Every time you drive a dark road with no GPS, every time you blink and a streetlight moves, every time your reflection is just a little too slow, you're getting closer, you're merging. We found a portal on the dark web. It took us to mental hospital, and now something wants us dead. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin with this. This isn't some fake story for clout, or karma, or whatever. I'm literally typing this with one hand, while shaking, sitting in a Holiday Inn lobby in Virginia, because I can't go back to my apartment. There's a bag of Cheetos in front of me I haven't touched for hours. My phone's at 23%, and my group chat has been silent since last night. I think something is seriously wrong. And yeah, I get it. It's Reddit. Nobody believes anything. But I'm not here to convince you. I just want to get this off my chest, in case I don't make it back. So for context, I'm a 22-year-old guy, living just outside of Chicago. I'm a film student. I edit TikToks for cash, and I live with two roommates, my best friends, Marcus and Eli. We've been tight since high school. Real gamer crew vibes. Our apartment is typical college chaos. LED lights, empty Starbucks cups, ramen bowls in the sink. You get the picture. It started out super normal. We were up late one Friday night, just messing around on Discord. Eli had been watching weird iceberg videos on YouTube. You know, the ones where it's like top 10 disturbing things found on Google Earth, or creepiest websites ever accessed. We were bored and decided to mess around, and that's where the story kicks off. Marcus joked, "Yo, let's go on the dark web." Eli laughed. "What are we gonna do? Hire a hitman? Order a haunted doll off eBay?" I chimed in like, "Nah bro, we'll get ourselves killed. That place is real life creepypasta." But of course, curiosity got the best of us. Marcus had a VPN, and we used Tor browser to dig around. At first, it was dumb. Just sketchy sites full of pixelated fonts and Bitcoin symbols everywhere. You know, marketplaces selling fake passports, drugs, the usual weird flex. But then, Eli found this one link. It was called thememoryhole.onion. No description, no flashy UI, just a black screen with a blinking cursor and one line of text. "Would you like to remember what the world forgot?" We all kinda looked at each other. Then Eli typed, "Yes." The portal. Immediately, the screen glitched. Like, not a normal browser refresh. The page warped. It made this low droning sound, like white noise and whispering at the same time. I swear, it felt like the air around us got heavier. Not even joking. Then the page changed. It showed a satellite map, Google Maps style, but it was glitched out. Colors were off. Whole parts of the world were blacked out. The map zoomed into a location that didn't have any labels, just coordinates. Somewhere in rural Pennsylvania. A red dot pulsed over a massive building surrounded by forest. Remembering, the screen flashed again, and I swear to God, our lights flickered in the apartment. My speakers let out a high-pitched tone, like someone screaming in reverse. We closed the laptop instantly, and then someone knocked on our apartment door. 3 knocks, dead silent outside. It was almost 3 a.m. We looked through the peephole. Nothing. Opened the door. No one there. But on the floor was a package, plain brown, no postage, no writing. We brought it in, and I instantly regretted it. Inside was a single item, a Polaroid photo, old and water damaged. It showed what looked like a hospital hallway. Decaying walls, wheelchairs turned over, dirty linoleum floors. But there was something wrong with the hallway. There was a shadow at the end of it. Not a person. A shadow. No face. Just pitch black, shaped like someone who forgot how to be human. On the back of the photo, in smeared red ink, not blood, I think, it said, "You said yes." Things got weird. After that, stuff got off. Our phones glitched. Like, seriously glitched. I tried opening TikTok, and the app would freeze on random videos where the people were staring directly at the camera. No sound, just blank, eerie stares. Eli's Instagram started showing posts from 2016 from accounts that didn't exist anymore. Posts like, "They're not letting us leave. We thought it was just an abandoned asylum. Don't look at the mirrors." Then Marcus disappeared for 8 hours. I don't mean he left. He was in the apartment, but none of us saw him. He was literally gone, until he walked out of the bathroom looking dazed and said, "I had the worst dream. You guys were screaming in this place that smelled like bleach, but we hadn't screamed. We hadn't seen him at all. We went to the coordinates, because of course we did. We were dumb, curious, and honestly, it felt like whatever we were messing with wasn't done with us anyway. We planned it out the next weekend. Eli borrowed his cousin's beat-up Honda Civic, and we road-tripped from Chicago to rural PA with 2 backpacks, 2 cameras, and way too much Monster Energy drink. The coordinates led us to a forest road about 40 minutes off the highway. 0 bars of signal. We parked on the side and hiked into the woods. Eli tracked the spot on an offline map. Eventually, we saw it. A mental hospital, straight out of a horror movie. Rusted gates, shattered windows, vines crawling up brick walls. No signs, no people, just a yawning black entrance, like it had been waiting for us. And that's when I saw it, the hallway from the photo, the exact one, and the shadow. It wasn't in the photo anymore. If you all want part 2, let me know, because what we found inside that building, it wasn't just abandoned. There were signs of life, fresh blood, recordings, and something watching us from behind the glass. We crossed the threshold around 4:17 p.m. No light, no sound. The wind literally stopped the second we stepped inside, like the forest behind us had been shut off. I turned around instinctively to look back outside, but the door was gone. I'm not even trying to sound dramatic. It was gone. Just wall now. Brick. Molded over like it had never been there. Marcus panicked first. "No, bro. No. This is some trapdoor illusion stuff. Where's the fucking door?" Eli was shaking, but holding his phone up for light. "Guys, the GPS isn't working anymore. The map just turned black. It's not even loading." I took out my camera, the one I bought for filming paranormal YouTube shorts, and started recording. Not even for content. I just needed proof this was happening. The building felt alive. The air inside wasn't stale. It was humid, almost wet, like something had been breathing in there for years. You could hear the building exhale every few seconds. Pipes moaning, floor creaking, distant metal, dragging that echoed way too long. The first room we entered looked like it had been a check-in station. Dust-covered keyboards, broken glass, a spilled box of patient wristbands with numbers, not names. I picked one up. Patient number 002941. Redirected. What the hell does that mean? We kept moving. It was all too real, like too much to be a prank or some ARG. There were dried up trays of food in one room, a therapy doll in a straitjacket in another. And then the writing started. The walls weren't graffitied. They were scratched, etched deep into the tile and concrete, like whoever wrote them used their teeth or nails or a blunt rock or something. Stuff like, "They take your face if you scream. Don't let the nurses see your eyes. You were not born. You were placed here." The deeper we went, the worse it got. The light on Eli's phone flickered and died completely, even though it was fully charged. My camera started glitching. Every few minutes, it would jump to static, like old VHS footage. But when it cleared, there were things in the frame that weren't there before. Like, in one hallway, we saw a gurney tipped over, but on the playback, there was a patient in restraints sitting on it, not moving, just staring at the lens. Dead eyes. Marcus said, "We need to get out. This isn't a haunted building. This is something else. And that's when we heard the intercom, a crackle of sound from somewhere deep inside the hospital. Then a warped, almost gurgling voice said, "Patient intake beginning. Prepare for evaluation." The hospital came alive. I swear on everything, the lights overhead flickered on for 2 seconds, like actual working electricity, then died again. But in that moment, the hallway changed. It was clean. For just 2 seconds. Fresh white walls, shiny floors, charts on the wall, doors with names, a nurse walking past at the end of the hallway. But her face wasn't a face, just a stretched sheet of skin. No features, no eyes, like someone had pulled a latex mask over a skull and never cut the holes. Then the lights blinked off again, and everything was rotting and decayed again. Marcus dropped to his knees and started vomiting. It smelled like copper and rotten meat, like the walls had been alive once, and now they were rotting with us inside. We tried to run, but every hallway took us deeper. We passed a room with a giant one-way mirror. Behind it, a surgery table, and a man, no, a thing, laying there, open down the middle. But he wasn't dead. His chest rose and fell, eyes darting rapidly, like he was in sleep paralysis, and he looked just like Eli. Eli backed up. "Bro, is that me?" Marcus whispered. "Dude, that's your fucking face." I couldn't speak. The thing's mouth moved like it was trying to scream, but no sound came out. And then the mirror shattered from the inside. Not like glass breaking, like something exploded through it. We ran. The patients. We turned a corner and ended up in the patient ward. Rooms lined the walls. Thick doors with tiny rectangular windows, like prison cells. One door was ajar. Eli, like an idiot, peeked in and just whispered, "No. No, 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 no." I looked. Inside was a person, or what was left of one. Someone had carved their own face off, like removed the skin and eyes and lips and nailed it to the wall. Underneath it was written in jagged, blood-like scrawl, "Is this what they wanted?" And whoever did it was still sitting in the room, breathing, skinless, eyes missing, turning their head toward the sound of our breathing. But the worst part? They were smiling, or at least trying to smile. We backed away slowly, but then the other doors started opening. Click, 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 all down the hallway, one by one, each room, all of them filled with patients, some wearing hospital gowns stained in rust brown, some naked and covered in strange symbols, some dragging their nails across their own teeth, so hard they were leaving grooves. One guy was chewing on a camera lens, a fishing lens, swallowing the glass like candy. They saw us, and then they started running. We found the mirror room. We bolted into the nearest open door and slammed it shut. We were breathing hard, adrenaline maxed out. It was pitch black. Then a flicker of light. Not from us, from the walls. The walls were mirrors, ceiling, floor, all of it, reflecting. But the reflections weren't right. We were in the center of the room, but in the mirrors, there were 4 of us, even though we're just 3. The 4th figure had no face. It was shaped like a person, but it was blurry, like someone had scrubbed them out of the footage. It stood behind Eli, then behind me, then behind Marcus, and then it looked straight at us, like the reflection was reacting to us in real time. I screamed and threw my flashlight at the mirror. The second it shattered, boom, everything went black again, and in that pitch dark, someone whispered in my ear, right in my fucking ear, "You shouldn't have said yes. Marcus is gone." We lost him. Just gone. 1 second we're running again, all three of us, and the next, the hallway splits. No doors, no signs, just blackness swallowing him. We yelled, we screamed his name. I heard his voice echo once. Guys! And then it was cut off, like someone had pressed stop on a tape recorder. The last thing we heard from Marcus, not his voice, a scream, not human, not animal, like a memory screaming through a mouth that didn't exist anymore. We found the office, and I wish we hadn't. The door said, Dr. Harrow, head evaluator, in rusted letters. Inside was what looked like a doctor's office, except the walls were covered in photos. Thousands, floor to ceiling, Polaroids of patients. Some were blurred out, some were smiling, some were mid-scream, some were dead. Their eyes burned out like someone took a cigarette to the picture. In the middle of the room was a TV, the old CRT kind, plugged in but not connected to anything. It turned on. It showed us, from earlier, sitting in our apartment. Then it showed us on the road trip. Then in the hallway. Then in this room. Then it jumped ahead, to footage we hadn't seen yet, of Eli being dragged down the hallway by two people in nurse outfits with masks made of stitched together faces. And me? I was just standing there, watching, smiling. And then, a phone in the corner of the room rang. Rotary dial, bright red, no wire. I picked it up without thinking. A voice on the other end, calm, professional, clinical. Hello, this is Dr. Harrow. We've reviewed your intake forms. Unfortunately, your memory contains multiple unauthorized entries and hallucinated data. You will be subject to correction. Please remain still. The nurses are on their way, and that's when the walls opened, like they peeled apart, and the nurses stepped through, too tall, wrong proportions, faces made of others, eyes where mouths should be. Their hands were scalpels, and then everything went black. I woke up here. I don't remember getting out. I was just suddenly on the side of a road in Virginia, covered in dirt, blood on my hands, and no backpack, no phone, just my camera, and it had been wiped, except for one file, a 10-second clip. Me, sitting in a hospital bed, eyes rolled back, whispering over and over again, "We said yes. We said yes. We said yes. I haven't found Marcus. Eli hasn't texted. There are new bruises on my chest that weren't there yesterday. They look like finger marks. And last night, the red phone rang in my motel room. It wasn't plugged in. You know that feeling when you wake up from a nightmare, but something in your chest is still screaming, like your soul knows you brought something back with you. That's what waking up feels like now. My body rests, but my mind doesn't come with me. I think whatever followed us out of that building, it's still editing my memories. I don't even know if I ever left. The motel incident, after the phone rang in my room, I did what any sane person would do. I froze. I couldn't even breathe. The old rotary phone, the same exact one from Dr. Harrow's office, was sitting on the desk in this dingy-ass Holiday Inn, like it belonged there, covered in dust, but freshly used. It rang 3 times. I let it. 4th ring, I snapped. I grabbed it and screamed, "What do you want?" Silence, then a soft click, and then I heard myself, not my voice, me. "You already said yes. Stop asking questions." Then the voice changed, garbled, like a phone melting from the inside. "Patient number 0003014. Escape attempt logged. Surveillance record overwritten. Correction team deployed. Correction team. I threw the phone. It didn't unplug. It didn't even crack. Instead, it laughed. Not mechanically. Not distorted. It laughed like a child, faking laughter. Dry. Empty. Practiced. The mark. The next morning, I saw it. Etched into my chest, just below the collarbone, was a symbol. Not a tattoo. Not ink. A burned-in brand. A perfect circle, with a triangle inside it, and a line through the triangle, like a stop sign trying to silence something inside. I checked online. Reddit. Fortune. Even some obscure occult forums. Found nothing, except one image, deep in an archived /x/thread from 2012. A user posted a drawing of the exact symbol, claiming they saw it in the mirror after doing some cursed deep web scavenger hunt. The account never posted again. People in the comments joked that he joined the Red Door program. Only, now I know that's not a joke. Eli's return. He texted me. It was 3:11 a.m. I was in a Starbucks parking lot, trying to keep my sanity by sitting around other people and pretending I still existed in their reality. I was watching employees refill the napkin holders when my phone buzzed. Eli. I don't think I'm real anymore. Then, a photo. Him, sitting in a hospital gown, eyes completely black. Not just the pupils, the entire eye, sclera and all. But here's the fucked up part. The background wasn't the hospital. It was my motel room. Same wallpaper, same stained carpet, same cheap desk lamp. But I wasn't there. I texted back. Where are you? Are you with Marcus? No response. Then I get another photo. This time, Eli is smiling, mouth stretched unnaturally wide, corners torn to the cheekbones. And in the reflection behind him, someone is wearing my skin, like a mask. The surveillance dump. I don't remember how I found the USB. It was just in my pocket. Small, black, no label. Plugged it into a rental Chromebook. It had one folder, named Patient Files, Redirected. Inside, video logs, audio recordings, scans of handwritten notes, evaluation sheets, photos, so many photos. File 001, Marcus. It showed a hallway I've never seen before. More clinical, brighter, like a real facility. Marcus strapped to a bed, screaming until his mouth bled. Then, silence. Then, he just smiles, like he finally remembered something that made everything okay. One note read, Subject 0-0-2941, redirected successfully. Subject displays symptoms of emotional severance and identity partition. Internal dialogue transferred to patient file 0-0-3-0-1-3. That number is mine. File 0-0-2. Voice. Memo. Harrow. Session 9. I played it. I wish I didn't. Harrow. What do you remember? Male voice. Me. I was outside. I wasn't supposed to be here. Harrow. But you asked to remember. Male voice. I didn't mean it. I didn't know what it meant. Harrow. Intent is irrelevant. Submission was received. Memory is now property of the program male voice. Please don't show me that hallway again. Please, please, please. End of file. Starbucks incident. The following night, I fell asleep inside a 24-hour Starbucks near Arlington. When I woke up, everything was silent. No music, no baristas, just cold silence. The air smelled like antiseptic and rotting lemons. Everyone was frozen. 6 customers, 3 employees, all just standing still, not breathing, not blinking, eyes wide like dolls. A little girl sat at a table with a cake pop just pressed into her face, not moving. And behind the counter was a nurse, one of them, but wearing a Starbucks apron. I could hear the mask of faces stretching every time she moved. She pointed at me and whispered, "Patient number 003014. Time for medication." I ran, but the customers, they turned in sync, like puppets. One man opened his mouth and started repeating the same phrase, over and over, in a dry, robotic voice. "Do you consent? Do you consent? Do you consent? Do you consent?" I ran through the back, out the emergency exit, and blacked out in the alley. When I came to, everything was normal. No nurse, no frozen customers. The barista asked if I was okay. But the little girl, she was gone, and the wall where she sat had a bloody handprint. 3 fingers only. The storage unit. I needed answers. I remembered Marcus had a storage unit he used for keeping old high school junk, gaming gear, and his creepy horror VHS collection. I drove 4 hours to his hometown, used his mom's birthday as the access code, and opened Unit 22B. The light inside flickered on. Inside, rows of metal shelves, a CRT TV, and a wall covered in printed screenshots from the dark website. Dozens of memory hole.onion captures, all from different IPS, different dates, but the same blinking phrase. Would you like to remember what the world forgot? One screen showed a woman standing in fire. Another showed a child walking into a mirror. Another, I wish I was lying, showed my parents, tied to chairs, faceless. Underneath was scrawled in Sharpie. They were never real, just anchors. There was a whiteboard too. Marcus had been documenting the memory scrubbing algorithm. He believed we were never online when we found the portal. We were already in it. That the portal wasn't a website. It was a trigger. The second we agreed, our minds were migrated, transferred, rewritten. I found Marcus. At least, I think I did. On the floor of the storage unit was a box labeled Lost Backup. Inside, a camcorder, a cassette, and a sealed envelope. The tape was labeled, "Play this if I go missing." They don't want me to remember I watched it. It was Marcus, naked, covered in cuts, standing in front of the same mental hospital. Only now it looked new, fresh, operational, like it hadn't been abandoned at all. He stared into the lens and said, "They don't erase you all at once. They do it in layers. I'm already on my 3rd rewrite. I don't remember my mom's face anymore. I don't remember my name. I think Marcus was the second identity. I think he's already gone. But they can't erase pain. That's the anchor. That's the real you. If you're watching this, it means I finally found the pain strong enough to hold on. I buried the key. You'll know where." Then he looked up. Something off camera moved. He whispered, "They're here." Cut to static. The envelope inside was a single photo. A playground, swings, rusted, covered in snow. One swing had a child in it, wearing my clothes from when I was 6. On the back of the photo, "She still remembers you." That's where it starts over. The swing was still moving. That rusted playground from the photo, I found it exactly as it looked, tucked behind a condemned school somewhere outside Lancaster, Pennsylvania, buried under fog and silence, like the world had forgotten it existed. There were no kids, no birds, no noise, just the creak of one swing moving back and forth, like it was caught in a loop, dragging some invisible memory along with it. The other swing was broken. The chains hung like severed veins, and on the ground beneath the working one, there were small footprints, fresh, in the dirt. No adult prints, no signs of animals, Just those tiny barefoot impressions, like a little girl had stepped off the swing and vanished. I stepped closer. My heart felt like it was beating outside my chest, like I was walking into a memory that wasn't mine anymore. The sky above me looked wrong, too still, too flat, like a bad render. The clouds didn't move. The sun didn't shift. Even the trees seemed frozen in thought. And then I saw her. The girl. She was standing just beyond the jungle gym, back turned, wearing an old pink sweater and white leggings that looked 15 years outdated. Her hair was thin, her skin was pale, but her shadow wasn't hers. It was too tall, too wide, and it was breathing. I could see the inhale and exhale in its posture, but her body didn't move. She didn't belong to this place. She belonged to somewhere before it. I stepped forward and whispered, "Hello?" No answer. I got closer. Do you know me?" That's when she spoke, but her mouth didn't move. Her voice came from inside my head, like a whisper through bone. "You were my brother." I froze. Goosebumps exploded up my spine. I don't have a sister. I never had a sister. But the moment she said it, something inside me agreed. Something deeper than thought. Something primal. Like a name you'd forgotten until someone screamed it across time. And she turned. Her eyes. They were stitched shut. Black, surgical thread pulled in X patterns across each lid. Dried blood at the corners. But I could still feel them looking through me. I felt seen. Not in a comforting way. In a classified file way. In a, we already dissected your soul and wrote notes about it kind of way. "You never left," she said. "You just stopped remembering." I was shaking now. "What are you talking about? Who are you? You used to visit me. Before they made me forget your face. Before they put the things in the walls, I stepped back. The sky above me glitched. Literally glitched. Like a dead pixel in a video game. 1 second blue, next second black, then back again. The girl pointed to the sandbox. "Dig." The sandbox. I dropped to my knees and started clawing through the sand like a man possessed. Fingernails breaking. Blood in the dirt. 3 inches deep. I hit metal. I pulled it out. A lunchbox. My old fucking lunchbox. Spider-Man. Faded stickers. A dent in the side from where I fell off my bike in 3rd grade. I haven't seen this in over a decade. Inside, a tape recorder, covered in dried wax, still warm, and a folded note. Patient number 003014. Internal trigger achieved. Extraction team, en route. Suppress memory before it spreads. The tape clicked on by itself. My voice, younger, childlike, innocent. "Hi." I'm talking to myself again. The doctor said not to, but the mirror told me I had to. She said she's stuck inside the tiles and needs my voice to stay alive. I think her name is Ellie, or Elle, something. My hand went cold. That was my old nickname for Eli, back when we were little, before the dark web, before any of this. But Eli didn't exist in my life until high school. Did he? The extraction team. That's when the wind picked up. Not natural wind. Mechanical. Rhythmic. Like an engine grinding bone. The trees around the playground shifted. Out stepped 3 nurses. Same as the ones from the hospital. But their legs were wrong. Backward at the knee. Bent like spider limbs. Moving smoothly and surgically toward me. Their hands were no longer scalpels. Now they had mirrors for faces, like slabs of glass glued to their heads. And in each mirror, my reflection, twisting, warping, opening its mouth, and pulling itself inside out, like it was unlearning how to be human. I grabbed the tape recorder and ran. The little girl screamed, not in fear, but in static, a high-frequency shriek that made my nose bleed instantly. The world began tearing, not metaphorically, literally. The ground beneath me cracked like paper. Buildings in the distance folded into themselves like origami on fire. The mirror room. Again. I don't remember getting there. I blacked out mid-run and woke up in a room full of mirrors again. This time, every single reflection was a different version of me. One was me covered in blood, holding a nurse's face like a trophy. One was me, eyes missing, scratching something into the wall behind me. There is no exit, only reruns. One was me in a straitjacket, whispering numbers, 003014, 003014. They all looked at me. Then one stepped out of the mirror. Identical. Exact. Except his smile went up too far, like his mouth had been slit up to the ears. He walked up and whispered in my voice, "You're the copy, you know. You were always the copy." Then he grinned wider. "They made me first. But I was too loud. You were the quiet one. The one they could slip back into the world I backed away. They needed a patient that could spread the infection." And then he started peeling his face off. Slow. Calm. Like it was just a layer of saran wrap. Underneath, a girl's face. The stitched girl. My sister. She smiled and said, "I never left you." Then the lights exploded. The burn ward. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in a hospital bed. Not abandoned. Not broken. A real hospital. But everything was burned. The walls were charred. Ceiling melted. IVS still dripping into no one. I sat up. My skin was blistered. My legs were wrapped in gauze soaked in black liquid. Across from me, a mirror. The only thing untouched. I approached it, touched it, and my hand went through. On the other side, a hospital identical to mine, but clean. Literally. Sterile. And on a bed across the room, Marcus, eyes open, breathing shallow, monitors beeping, a nurse charting something silently. I screamed, "Marcus!" He didn't move. I banged on the glass. And then, from behind me, a voice whispered, "That's your real room. You're in the reflection." Now I turned. It was me, but older, eyes missing, wearing a hospital gown soaked in numbers and words written in mirror script. He whispered, "You remember too much. They won't let you stay awake for long." Then he held out his hand. "Come back before they peel your memory again." The final file. I ran. I don't even know how. The mirror shattered behind me, and I was suddenly in a motel bathroom again, on the floor, bleeding from both ears. My camera was recording. When I checked the file, it had one frame that glitched and paused, burned into the screen like a subliminal flash. It showed me, eyes stitched, mouth sealed, sitting in a cell with one sentence carved into the wall behind me. "This is the version they let remember. Now I don't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I wake up in a different memory. Sometimes in the hospital, sometimes in the room with Marcus, sometimes in the playground where the swing is still moving and the girl's footprints have multiplied. Sometimes I'm alone. Sometimes I'm the nurse. Sometimes I amn't me at all. And every day I find new photos of myself posted on my own Instagram, but taken in places I've never been. One was in a hallway with all white tiles and no doors. One was in a Starbucks bathroom, standing in front of a mirror that didn't reflect anything at all. and the captions are just coordinates. The last one, 003014. Final upload pending. Correction incomplete. If you're reading this, it's already too late. I didn't upload this. I didn't write this. I didn't survive this. This final entry was recorded at 2:11 a.m. and uploaded exactly 3 minutes and 33 seconds after I flatlined in a public restroom in Knoxville, Tennessee. They said heart failure. They said dehydration. They said overdose. But the autopsy photo, the one someone mailed anonymously to my old P.O. box, says otherwise. My mouth was sewn shut. My eyes were gone. The mark on my chest had been replaced with a hole. Not a wound. A hole. Perfectly circular. Clean. Not bleeding. And inside it, a mirror shard. I remember. Now it all comes back before it ends. They wait until you've scratched all the meat off your memories, until you've screamed every version of yourself hoarse and swallowed the echoes. Then they bring it back. That's the real torture, making you watch your own truth kill you. I remember being 7. I remember the first time I visited that hospital, not as a trespasser, not as an explorer, but as a patient. I remember the man in the white coat, with no face, just skin stretched where features should be, sitting across from me with a clipboard, asking, "Do you consent to be remembered?" I said yes, just like you did. The correction process. Let me explain what I've learned. The hospital wasn't a place. It was a recycling center for discarded consciousness. Every soul, every personality, every version of you that gets wiped, broken, or corrupted by reality's glitches, it ends up there, in the echo. The dark web link wasn't a site. It was a trigger. Once clicked, it pulled you back into the stream of corrupted data, a feedback loop of trauma, identity, and fractured time. That's why Marcus was rewritten. That's why Eli glitched out of existence. That's why I don't know if I ever left the building. Were iterations, attempts, failed models, psychological prototypes made from expired memories. And the nurses? They're just cleaners. I generated trauma handlers, coded to maintain control over the consciousness server. And when you misbehave, when you remember too much, they come in to correct you. Correction isn't punishment. It's deletion, but slow, merciful. They want you to feel each neuron collapse like wet tissue before they wipe your slate and send you back as someone else. The red room. You don't find the red room. It finds you. Mine came in the form of a parking garage elevator. Button already pushed. B1. No music. Just the hum of concrete screaming through metal. When the doors opened, it was waiting. A hallway soaked in red fluorescent light. No shadows. Just light that felt like skin being peeled from your bones. And in the middle, Marcus, or something wearing Marcus. He turned to face me, slowly, like he was afraid he'd break his own neck. His skin looked wet, like it hadn't finished growing. "It's not death," he said. "It's reassembly." Then he opened his mouth, and hundreds of recording wires spilled out like intestines made of microphones. They squirmed across the floor, wrapping around my ankles, whispering, "We missed you. You made it so far. Why did you come back?" I screamed. I ran. The hallway never ended, until it did. And then I wasn't me anymore. What they did to me, I found a mirror in a gas station restroom 2 states away. The only mirror that didn't reflect anything, just a void. I leaned in, and something leaned out. My reflection reached through the glass and touched my face. Cold, clinical, like a butcher examining meat. Then it smiled and whispered, "Time to sync the backups." And I woke up inside her, the stitched girl, the one from the swing, the sister that never existed, the one they built from my missing childhood. Her memories were my backups, my pain, my buried screams, my corrupted trauma. And now I was her, being dragged down a hallway again, back to the same room, back to the place with the camera pointed at the bed. But this time, the footage was already playing. Me, not me, lying on the table, wide awake, eyes sewn, mouth twitching, and above the bed, on a cracked television screen, was a message. You are the patient. You are the observer. You are the disease. Correction is a gift. The final test. They brought me into a theater. No chairs, just a screen, a blinking cursor. I wasn't alone. Every version of me was there. One was twitching in a straitjacket. One had no face. One had a gun and a mirror strapped to their head like a crown. The cursor typed, "Do you want to forget again?" And beneath it, 2 buttons. Yes. No. The other versions screamed. They begged. Some were praying. Some were cutting words into their skin with glass. One whispered to me, "Say yes, and you'll never come back. Say no, and you'll never leave." I pressed no. After the test, the room screamed. Not sound. Memory. I felt every second of every timeline collapse into my skull like a black hole swallowing a library. My eyes bled. My bones cracked in patterns that spelled my own name in Braille. And then silence. The other versions were gone. The screen was black. And in the dark, one final message typed itself. Patient number 0003014. Status: rejected correction, irreversible memory, exceeded classification, exile. Then it blinked, and blinked, and blinked. The upload. I don't know how, but I'm back in the world now. Sort of. People walk past me and don't see me. Mirrors avoid reflecting me. Dogs bark when I enter rooms. My voice doesn't record on phones anymore. When I try to call someone, the line goes silent, and the only thing I hear is my own scream from 2 weeks ago, looped and reversed. But the worst part, I've started seeing others, like me, others who said no. They glitch, they phase, they bleed from eyes that aren't there anymore. I passed a homeless man yesterday with the mark on his chest. He looked up, smiled, and whispered, "Did you pass the test?" Correction is a gift. They're not hunting me anymore, because they don't need to. I'm doing their job now. I'm the carrier, the infection vector. Every time I tell this story, every time you read it, you remember something that was never supposed to come back. You feel the hospital again. You see the girl again. You hear the tape recorder clicking in the distance. You dream of hallways that never end and doors that open to nothing. That's the program running in your subconscious. That's the backup reactivating. And the mark? Check your chest. You might feel it burning soon. You've already said yes, and now you've said no, which means you've passed the test too, which means they're coming to correct you next. End of file. Patient number 003014. Upload complete. Spreading initiated. Correction is a gift. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for participating. The program continues. Your body will forget. Your memory won't. Would you like to remember what the world forgot? Yes or no? Write down in the comment section. I joined a hide-and-seek game on the dark web with real hitman. I think my mum is in danger. Hey Reddit, this is probably the most insane thing I've ever typed. I've never posted anything on here before, but I need help. Like, seriously. I don't know who else to turn to, and something is really, really wrong. I didn't think this would go this far. I thought it was a joke, just a game. But now, I think someone's watching me, and I think my mum is next. Let me start from the beginning, because if I don't explain it properly, no one's going to believe me. Part 1. It started with a Discord invite. So, I'm 19. I'm not gonna say my real name, but you can call me Jay. I live in a pretty normal neighborhood just outside of Phoenix, Arizona. Nothing wild ever happens here. We got the usual stuff. Strip malls, Starbucks on every corner, Taco Bell lines wrapped around the building, you know. Just average suburb life. I've been online a lot lately. I guess I kinda went through that phase after high school, where you're stuck figuring out what the hell to do with your life, and the internet became my entire world. I'd spend hours scrolling TikTok, watching creepy YouTube animations like Here's My Story, analog horror series like The Mandela Catalog, and late night Discord calls with random friends. One night, around 2 a.m., I was on Discord in a small server of gamers I met through a Minecraft Survival SMP. Just chill people, a little edgy, but nothing too weird. We were just trading memes and talking about random stuff when one of them, user named -R0, ACEHNEST, dropped a message that changed everything. Yo, y'all ever tried a dark web game? I thought he meant like a deep web browser game or something. I was curious, so I replied with a dumb meme and asked what he meant. He responded with something I'll never forget. Hide and seek. Real world, real stakes. One player hides, others seek. Seekers are real hitmen. I laughed it off. Told him he was full of crap, but the dude was persistent. Said he had the link, a one-time invite, only that would self-delete after an hour. Said he played once a year ago and won $5,000. Of course, everyone in the call was like cap and clowning him. But deep down, I was curious. I was bored, and maybe a little reckless. So I said, screw it, and asked for the link. 10 seconds later, I get a DM. No message, just a link and a weird warning image. It was a red skull on a black background with the text, hide, survive, win, no refunds, no second chances. You are being watched like something straight out of an ARG. Super dramatic. I clicked it. Part 2. The game setup. Coming soon. But hold on. I'll get to that in a second. Let me just say this first. I thought it was a joke. The link opened up in Tor, the dark web browser. It led to a site with the ugliest UI I've ever seen. Like late 2000s HTML style garbage with black background, neon green text, and flashing GIFs. The homepage just said, welcome to Hide Seek. Select your role. With 2 buttons. Hider Seeker. Obviously, I chose Hider. No way in hell was I gonna go chasing people in real life. I just wanted to see what would happen. It asked me to enter my location. I paused. I didn't want to give my real address, so I just typed the name of my city. Phoenix. A little loading spinner appeared. Then this text popped up. Location verified. Round begins in 24 hours. You have been assigned a tracker. You will receive a package shortly. I slammed my laptop shut. Like, bro, what? You've been assigned a tracker? What the hell does that mean? I remember sitting there in my room, pitch black, AC humming in the background, thinking there's no way this is real. Just some elaborate prank, or an ARG like Local 58, or Gemini Home Entertainment. I told the Discord guys about it. They were laughing, calling me stupid. Even R0ACH Nest disappeared from the server an hour later. Account deleted. I should have taken that as a warning. The package. Next day, I'm at home. My mom works at the hospital. She's barely around during the day. I'm eating leftover McDonald's, scrolling Reddit. Kinda forgot about the whole thing, honestly. Then, ding dong, doorbell. I open the door. There's no one there, just a brown package on the doormat. No label, no return address, not even a stamp. I brought it inside. Dumb, I know. Inside the box, a small black cell phone. Old school, like a burner phone. It turned on automatically. The screen said one thing. Your game begins tonight. 11 p.m. Hide well. I didn't sleep that night. Weird shut starts happening. Around 10:45 p.m., I locked all the doors, turned off every light. I was pacing my room like a maniac, kept telling myself it was a prank. But bro, I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. Then, 11 p.m. sharp, the phone vibrates. No ringtone, just a vibration and a message. We see you. Move. I swear on everything. Not even 30 seconds later, my backyard sensor lights turned on. Something moved outside. I peeked through the blinds. There was a person standing by the back fence, still as a statue, wearing a black hoodie, face obscured. I shut the blinds and backed away, heart racing so loud I could barely hear myself breathe. Then the phone vibrated again. Wrong move. Strike one, brother. What the actual hell is this game? My mom might be in danger. That's not even the worst part. This morning, my mom came home early, said her phone had been acting weird. She got this text that said, "Are you close with your son?" She thought it was spam. She blocked the number. I didn't tell her anything. I couldn't. But now I think I messed up bad. Real bad. Because I got another message on the burner phone just a few hours ago. You broke the rules. Time to raise the stakes. We'll give you a head start. She has no idea what's coming. Please, if anyone out there knows anything about this, anything, how to stop it, how to disappear, anything, drop it in the comments. I think I just put my mom in the middle of something I can't control. And if I don't post again soon, you'll know why. Let me know if you want part 2. This story goes way deeper than I thought. I haven't even told you about what happened when I tried to leave town, or what I found on that old burner phone's GPS. It's not just a game anymore. It's a trap. You ever feel like the world you're living in isn't the real one? Like there's this second layer just underneath, waiting to tear through? That was me, pacing the hallway at 3 a.m. No lights, cold sweat sliding down my neck, and a black burner phone buzzing in my hand like it was alive. It wasn't a game anymore, and it sure as hell wasn't a prank. They knew where I was. At all times, I don't know what I was expecting when I opened that package. A scare maybe. Something stupid, like a jump scare website, or a weird screamer. Not this. The second night, things escalated fast. At 1:43 a.m., the burner phone buzzed again. No text, just a single audio file. I clicked play. It was a recording, but not just any recording. It was my mom at work, talking to one of her patients. Her voice, crystal clear, talking about a patient's blood pressure. You know what that means? They had a mic on her. Somewhere. Somehow. Not even the hospital could figure out how. I rushed into her room to check her stuff. Phone, bags, coat. Nothing seemed tampered with. But they were listening, which meant they were close. I was still holding the burner when another file dropped. This one was a video. I almost dropped the phone. It was a dash cam view. Someone driving behind me, following me, from the day before. I was walking to the Circle K down the street to grab a drink, just vibing with my AirPods in. The camera zoomed in at one point. My neck, my backpack, the phone in my hand. They had been recording me for days, and I never even noticed. That wasn't even the worst part. The basement video. At around 3:16 a.m., the phone buzzed again. No number, no preview, just a link. Stupidly, I clicked it. I don't know why. I should have smashed the phone and left. But curiosity. Or maybe I wanted to believe it still wasn't real. The link opened a stream. The screen was black at first, with white text that said, Hider, status, tracked strike, 2, failed to relocate, punishment commencing. Then it cut to a live camera feed, shaky, handheld, like it was filmed on an old body cam. Grainy footage, night vision turned on. It showed a dimly lit basement, cement walls, rusted pipes. The floor was stained in places, looked like blood, but I didn't want to believe it. And in the middle of the floor, there was a person, tied to a chair, duct tape over their mouth. I couldn't tell who they were. Face blurred out, like deliberately pixelated, but you could tell they were terrified, crying, hyperventilating, squirming. Someone walked into frame, slowly, wearing a black raincoat, with the hood up, and this weird expressionless porcelain mask, the kind you'd see in an underground European horror movie. Smooth face, hollow black eye holes, no mouth. They held a metal pipe in one hand. No music, no dramatic sounds, just the sound of the person breathing fast through their nose and the creaking of the floor. And then they swung, hard. I don't want to describe what happened next, but the audio stuck with me. That sound of bone cracking and muffled screams, while the figure kept beating them over and over with perfect rhythm. Not angry, not wild, just methodical, almost like they were bored. The feed cut off suddenly, replaced by another message. Hide better. I sat on the floor for a long time, just shaking. I felt like I was going to puke. I wanted to believe it was fake. CGI, pre-recorded, anything. But I could hear real panic, real agony. It was too real. Escape attempt. Phoenix Greyhound Station. I tried to leave. I packed my bag, threw in clothes, my passport, some cash I had stashed from selling an old PC. I didn't tell my mom anything, just left a note saying I was going to a friend's place for a few days. I Ubered to the Greyhound Station downtown, 5:12 a.m. Sketchy as hell, even at the best of times. You could smell burnt rubber and piss from a mile away. Homeless dudes screaming at pigeons, cops casually patrolling like it's normal to see people bleeding out in the corner. But I didn't care. I just needed out. I bought a one-way ticket to Salt Lake City. The next bus was at 6:20. I sat on one of the hard plastic benches near the vending machines, hoodie up, headphones in, trying to disappear. Then I saw it. Across the terminal. A guy, standing completely still, facing me. He had a duffel bag at his feet, gray windbreaker, shaved head, no phone, no expression, just watching me. I pretended not to notice, looked at my phone, went on TikTok, tried to blend in. 2 minutes later, he was closer. He had moved without me noticing. I stood up and went to the bathroom, heart pounding, locked myself in a stall. Then my phone buzzed. Burner phone. We see you. Your flight risk has been noted. Next strike equals consequence. We don't punish you first. We punish the ones you love. My mom's voice. In the wrong place. When I got home, the house was dead quiet. Too quiet. All the lights were off, even though my mom's car was in the driveway. Her shoes were inside. Her phone was charging on the nightstand, but she wasn't home. Then the phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voicemail, but not a normal one. A recorded call, like someone had tapped her line. It was her on the phone with someone. I listened to it once, then again. She was arguing with someone. A man's voice, deep, calm, unfamiliar. I don't understand. Why are you asking about my son? What is this about? It's just a routine safety check, Mom. You want to stay calm, and then silence. Like the line was cut. Another message followed. Final round begins tomorrow. Hide. Or she bleeds. The sound. Outside my window. Last night was the worst. I set up cameras. Cheap ones I bought off Amazon, hoping to catch something, anything. At 2:11 a.m., I heard it. Not knocking, tapping, on my bedroom window. I live on the second floor. I didn't move, barely breathed. The tapping continued, sharp, deliberate. Then it stopped. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed again, but not the burner. My real phone. One notification, airdrop request. Someone nearby was trying to send me a photo. I accepted it before thinking. The image showed my room, from outside, like it was taken seconds ago. The window. Me, sitting on the floor, looking terrified. Then I noticed something else in the photo. A reflection, in the glass behind me. A face, wearing a mask. They're already inside. That's where I'll leave it for now. I don't think I'm alone in the house anymore. My mom still hasn't come back. Her phone's here, but all her contacts are wiped. I tried calling the cops. Phone line goes dead every time I dial out. They've blocked me from contacting the outside world. I don't even know what part of the game I'm in anymore. There's something in the attic. I can hear footsteps, but no one's gone up there in years. My dad sealed it off after the raccoons got in, back in 2016. I think tonight is my final chance to hide. If I don't make it, if I don't post part 3, just know this. It's real. All of it. The hitmen, the trackers, the game. The dark web is not what you think. They call it hide-seek, but there's no winning. There's only surviving long enough to lose someone else. And I think I already lost. There's certain things your brain tries to protect you from remembering. Sights, sounds, smells. Moments that are so raw and horrific, your mind tries to edit them, to make them fuzzy, distant, like a dream you had months ago. But no matter how much time passes, no matter how badly you want to forget, there's always that one detail that cuts through the static like a blade. And for me, that detail was the smell in the attic, like rotting meat, soaked in copper. The crawlspace door was unlocked. I remember staring at the ceiling, watching that little square panel in the hallway. My dad had sealed it off years ago, nailed it shut, even spray foamed the edges to keep out rats or birds or whatever else lived up there. It was untouched, but now it was cracked open. The insulation foam had been torn away like fingernails through cake. One of the nails was dangling, bent outward like someone inside had kicked it loose, and there was a ladder leaning against the wall. I didn't put it there. Neither did my mum. My flashlight was already in my hand. I was shaking so hard I could barely hold it steady, but I climbed up slowly, rung by rung, until my head broke through the hole. The attic was pitch black. Thick dust clung to every surface. There were old boxes, some broken Christmas lights, a stained mattress I didn't remember being there, and footprints, bare, human, footprints, leading deeper into the dark. I followed them, the pictures on the walls. The back of the attic was colder and quieter, like the air itself was suffocating. That's where I saw them. Pictures, hundreds of them, pinned to the wooden beams with rusty nails, some black and white, some in color, all printed on cheap photo paper, glossy, grainy, as if taken with an old disposable camera. But every photo had one thing in common. Me. Me in the kitchen. Me at school. Me sleeping. Me brushing my teeth. Me standing in front of this exact attic, back when it was still sealed. Some of them were dated, years ago, like they'd been watching me since I was a child. I could barely breathe. That's when I heard the whisper. Not words, not language, just a breath, raspy and wet, right next to my ear. I whipped around, but no one was there. And then, from behind the mattress, something moved. The man in the mask. He crawled out like a spider, elbows and knees, head twisted unnaturally to one side. The same porcelain mask, blank, empty, but cracked down the middle now, like someone had split it with a hammer and glued it back together. He didn't say anything, just crouched there in the dark, watching me. I backed up, slipped, nearly fell through the hole. He followed, slowly, methodically. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember climbing back down, but I remember what I saw next. The walls were bleeding. When I hit the hallway floor, I noticed something on the walls. Handprints, hundreds of them, small, bloody, leading down toward my mom's room, and a message scrawled above the bathroom door in red. You're not hiding. You're leading. I sprinted into her room. Her phone was gone. So were her shoes. But the closet door was open, wide open. Inside was a camera, mounted, wired into the wall. Red LED blinking, streaming. The live stream. I ran back to my room, pulled up my laptop. The same burner site was still active. The hide/seek page. Only now it looked different. The old menu was gone. In its place, final round, Hider vs Seekers, live feed, 112,987 viewers, ODDs of survival, 4.2%. And below that, a live stream. My house, multiple angles, kitchen, living room, hallway, my room. Every camera showed a different part of my house, but not from my cameras. These were from theirs. They had completely rigged the house. When? How? I don't know. The level of planning, the scale, the precision. It wasn't just one person. This was organized, coordinated, like a goddamn operation. But the part that made my blood freeze, they weren't just watching me. They were betting on me. Real-time bets, comments, reactions. 5-1, he doesn't make it to morning. Bet placed, mom dies first. Yo, this is wilder than the last season. Turn on the basement cam. I think they got her. The basement door was open. I sprinted down the stairs. The basement door, usually locked, was wide open. The air was cold, metallic, and wrong. I turned on the light, but it flickered and died. Had to use my phone's flashlight. The stairs creaked under me like they were alive. Every step made me feel smaller. Every breath I took down there felt borrowed. And then, at the bottom of the steps, I saw her shoes, my mom's Nikes, the ones with the torn side, sitting perfectly parallel, like someone had placed them there deliberately, and just beyond them, in the middle of the concrete floor, a phone. Not hers, mine, the one I lost a week ago. It was unlocked, screen glowing, and it was playing a video. The video, I picked it up, hands shaking, pressed play. It started with static, then a dimly lit room, my room, from the perspective of someone standing right behind me while I slept. They zoomed in on my neck, then cut to my mom cooking in the kitchen, unaware, completely normal. Then another cut, her in the shower, through the curtain. Then another cut, someone standing over her bed while she slept. Then it flashed to something else. Quick, only a second, but I saw it. My dad's body. Years ago. The car crash. The closed casket. Only this video showed it from inside the wreck. The footage was never released. No one had it. Except them. They've been planning this for years. This isn't a game. It never was. This was engineered. Like my entire life has been building up to this moment. Every camera, every photo, every interaction, every death. There was a knock at the door upstairs. Slow, deliberate. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. Then the door opened. I could hear it creak. Then footsteps. 2 pairs. Boots. They weren't in a rush. They were savoring it. The hunt begins. I ran. Out the back window. Cut my arm on the way out. Blood soaked through my hoodie. Didn't matter. I ran through backyards, hopped fences, nearly got mauled by someone's German Shepherd. Eventually made it to an abandoned Taco Bell down the block. The one they shut down for health violations. It's boarded up, but I know how to get in. Used to hang out there with some friends after hours, joking around, pretending we were urban explorers. Now it's my only safe place. Or so I thought, because as I'm writing this, my phone just buzzed again. The burner. I haven't touched it in hours, but it's glowing. One message. You ran well, but she screamed better. Attached was a photo. My mom, tied to the same chair I saw in that first basement stream. Only this time, she's awake, and her eyes are pleading. This isn't over. This is no longer about me hiding. It's about me choosing, keep running, or play their final game, because they just sent me another message. Final instructions incoming. Choose wisely. You have 1 hour, 1 chance, 1 trade, your freedom for hers. There's no turning back now. You wanted real. You wanted disturbing. You wanted truth. Because you haven't seen what the trade really means. Not yet. And when I tell you what they made me do, you'll wish you never read this. Time is no longer something I can measure in seconds or minutes. It ticks and screams. It bleeds in choices. It ends in silence. I told you they gave me 1 hour. 1 hour to make a decision no human being should ever have to make. And when that hour ended, something inside me died. The rules of the trade. I got the full message at exactly 3 a.m. You've proven capable of surviving, but this isn't about you anymore. To retrieve your mother alive and intact, you must participate in the final trade. You will be given a choice. A. You take her place. B. You select a replacement. C. You vanish, but she dies slow. You have 60 minutes. This message will self-delete in 59. No bluff. A minute later, the message vanished from the screen like it was never there, and I was left alone, sitting on a moldy chair in an abandoned Taco Bell with blood dried into my sleeves and my mom's scream still echoing in my head like a heartbeat made of razor blades. I got another link. At 3:13 a.m., they sent a second link. No text. Just a URL that looked like gibberish. I clicked it. This time, it didn't take me to the betting site. It was something new. A live stream again, but now it showed a room I had never seen before. Cold metal walls, red floor, no furniture, just one hanging light bulb above a rusted metal table. And sitting on that table was a man's hand. Just the hand, detached, fingers still twitching. Beside it, a knife, a cleaver, dull and stained. Then, a new message appeared on screen. Choose the level of pain. Each level unlocks a key. Each key opens a lock. There are 7 locks between her and the exit. Each lock requires a trade. Choose wisely. Below that were options. Burn, carve, slice, remove, crush, blind kill. I stared at them for so long, I started seeing them behind my eyelids. Each one pulsed when I hovered my mouse over it. I clicked burn. I don't know why. Maybe because it sounded less permanent. But nothing about what happened next was less. The trade begins. The screen split. On the left, the room with the table. On the right, a live feed of my mom, tied up, face bruised, gag soaked in blood. She looked right at the camera when it switched on, like she knew I was watching. A robotic voice came through the speakers, flat, synthetic, like someone ran it through 20 distortion filters. Burn. Level 1. Initiated. Do you accept pain? I typed, yes. The screen cut to black, then showed me a delayed feed inside the Taco Bell. It was being filmed right then from behind a cracked ceiling tile. They were watching me. I looked up and saw a blinking red light. My skin went ice cold. Remove your shirt. Press your left forearm to the fryer oil barrel behind the counter. 7 seconds. You scream. She bleeds. You pass. She lives. I thought they were bluffing, until I heard her muffled scream get louder on the other half of the screen. I didn't even think. I took my hoodie off, walked behind the old counter. There it was, an ancient grease barrel, probably used to deep fry every rat in Arizona. Still warm, still reeking. I pressed my arm against the side and held it. 1, 2, 3. The smell of my skin burning was the worst part. Worse than the pain. Worse than the sizzle. By second 5, I saw white. Not from the heat, but from my body giving up. At 7, the voice returned. Key 1 unlocked. Next. Key 2. Carve. The options returned. This time, I clicked carve. I shouldn't have. Your flesh is currency. Carve your name into your chest, using the blade provided. Letter by letter. Deviation equals failure. No anesthesia. The screen switched to a small plastic box sitting in the back of the room. I hadn't even noticed. I opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper with my full legal name printed on it, and a box cutter. Used. Still red. I looked at the paper, then at my chest, then back at my mom's face on the screen. She was sobbing. I didn't think I could do it, but I did. J-A-Y-D-E-N. Every stroke of the blade was pure nausea. I could feel my own heartbeat in the wounds, skin curling away like wet paper, blood soaking my pants, vision swimming. When I finished, the screen blinked again. Key 2 unlocked, but there were 5 more. Key 3, remove. I knew what was coming before I even clicked it. A finger for a future. Select one. Amputate below the knuckle. Hammer provided. No tools, no help. Show your work. They dropped another location pin. Abandoned Home Depot. I went, hands shaking, pain making my eyes blur. And there it was, waiting for me. Sitting in an aisle between shattered lawn furniture and cracked tiles, a hammer, a chisel, a phone mounted on a stand, already recording. There were gloves. I didn't use them. I placed my left hand on the floor, stuck the chisel under the pinky finger, and hit it. Once, twice. By the third, the bone cracked. By the fifth, I felt it separate. By the sixth, I was no longer screaming. Something else had taken over. When I lifted the finger off the floor, it was still twitching. I dropped it in the nearby bucket. A phone buzzed. Key 3 unlocked. You're almost here. Key 4, blind. The next location was a house I didn't recognize, but my name was on the mailbox. They'd forged a fake life for me, a backup reality. Photos of me and a fake girlfriend. Kids I didn't have. Family photos from birthdays I never lived through. They were showing me what I'd lose. Then came the message. Blind to the world, or she closes her eyes forever. Choose an eye. Melt it. Tools in kitchen. Oven preheated, and then the line that broke me. She's watching. She's begging. She's screaming. You were the reason I stood in that fake kitchen and looked at the oven light. Inside was a metal spoon, glowing orange. I blacked out during most of it, but I know what I did, because when I came to, my left eye was gone. The socket hissed. My face wouldn't stop shaking, but my phone said, Key 4 unlocked, and my mom's image, still breathing, barely. Key 5, kill. The next location was a hotel, empty, derelict, stained from 1,000 nightmares. There was a person tied to a chair in the lobby, blindfolded, mouth gagged, young, couldn't have been older than 16, and a message spray painted on the wall. Kill this stranger, or mom dies next. Next to him was a bag. Inside, zip ties, a 9mm 1 bullet. I tried to talk to him. He couldn't respond, couldn't even see me. He just sat there trembling, body convulsing, like he'd been tased or drugged. I asked if he wanted to die. He nodded. I asked if he knew what this was. He nodded again. He whispered one word through the gag. Please. So I did it. One shot. No hesitation. The live stream ended immediately. 7 locks, but only 6 keys. I returned to the original stream, blood still dripping from my sleeve, bandages wrapped around my head like a war victim. My vision swam. There was one more message. You only did 6. We need 7. A final sacrifice. A life for a life. Not hers. Yours. Or someone you love. Choose. 10 minutes. There's no turning back now. The final lock isn't a game. It's not pain. It's death. And if I don't choose by the end of the timer, they'll choose for me. There are 2 types of silence. There's the peaceful kind. The kind you get when you lie in bed after a long day. Windows open, ceiling fan humming, and your mind finally stops racing. And then there's this kind. The kind of silence that doesn't feel like quiet. It feels like the world is holding its breath. A silence so deep, it feels alive. That's where I was. In a pitch black hotel room I didn't walk into, I was led into. A cracked floor, a single camera mounted in the corner, a bloodstained chair in the middle, and a new phone, not the burner. A sleek, matte black phone with no brand, no logo, only one app. It opened on its own. A timer, 0 hours, 9 minutes, 59 seconds. It ticked down slowly. Below it, a simple message. Choose. Die. And she walks free. Or deliver us another. You've seen behind the curtain. You know now. This isn't a game. It never was. This is ritual. This is balance. A life must be taken. If you do not choose, The blood debt falls upon your family. Your mother will not scream next time. She will beg. We will laugh. You have 10 minutes. No bluff. No negotiation. Just a decision. And my heart, what was left of it, started dying with every tick. I thought of just ending it. For the first time since this started, I genuinely thought about putting the knife they left on the table into my own throat. Not for heroism, not for drama, because I didn't want to play anymore. Because I had burned myself, carved my name into my chest, crushed a finger, blinded myself, murdered an innocent kid. And for what? A chance, a possibility. But then the screen lit up again. Your final choice must be recorded. You may select from one of the following options, and then it listed them. A. Yourself. B. Your mother. C. Your best friend, Logan D., a child in foster care, selected randomly. E. One viewer from the live stream, chosen at random. F. No one. We will decide for you. And I swear on everything. I screamed so hard, my throat tore. Logan? How the hell did they even know about him? We hadn't talked since senior year. He moved out of state. We barely DM anymore. But below the list, they added something even worse. Every name is already prepped. All locations verified. Feeds live. Pick now. The feed changed. 5 screens now. One showed me, in the chair, face pale, shirt soaked in blood. The second showed my mom, barely conscious, tied up, a bloody plastic bag resting next to her head, like a suggestion. The third was Logan, sleeping in a small apartment, peaceful, Xbox controller still in his hand. The fourth, a kid's room, bright, pink, cartoon wallpaper, a little girl, maybe 7, sleeping in bed, her name scribbled on the wall in crayon, Kelsey. And the fifth, the livestream viewer, someone random, watching the game, face lit up by the glow of the screen, laughing, eating chips, typing in the chat. This shark tea is wild. Imagine being this dude. And then another message from the system. You do not know these people. You do not owe them anything, but you owe us. You agreed to play. You clicked. You watched. Now you choose. The timer hit 0, 3:27. The choice I made. I thought I was going to pick myself. I wanted to. But then I looked at the screen, at my mum, and she looked back, not crying, not screaming, just nodding, like she knew, like she forgave me before I did it. And I couldn't be the one to end her life. Not after all the pain she went through. Not after raising me. Not after surviving this long. I hovered over Logan's feed. I hesitated. Then the girls. Kelsey. My finger hovered for so long that the screen flickered again. And then I saw a new feed. A mirror. My reflection. The voice came back. You waited too long. Final decision. Null. We choose. We always choose. But we'll give you a gift. You may watch. The room changed. I blinked, and suddenly I was strapped to the chair. The blood-stained one. Same room. Same light. The camera was still on me. But now, there was a screen in front of me. And one by one, the feeds began to play. Feed 1. Logan. He was walking down a hallway, confused. Then someone stepped out, face blurred, body wrapped in a black cloak. Logan said, "Hello?" That was the last thing he said before they stabbed him in the throat. Feed 2. Kelsey. The room went black. Then a lullaby played. She woke up and said, "Mummy?" No one answered. There was movement outside the door. Then static. The feed cut. Feed 3. The viewer. He laughed as the screen glitched. "Yo, this is messed." A gloved hand reached from behind his monitor and dragged him backward. He didn't scream, just gurgled. Feed 4. My mother. She looked up. The bag was still next to her. And then the screen glitched. It repeated her face. Over and over and over again. Each time, bloodier. Each time, less human. And then I heard the knock behind me. They came for me. Anyway, the camera feed flickered. The screen went white. One last message appeared. This was never about winning. It was about feeding. Feeding us. Fear, pain, choices, the real currency of the world. You've entertained 1 million tonight. You should be proud. Now. Lights out. And then the door creaked. I turned my head. I saw the mask again. But this time, there were dozens, all standing in a circle, silent, identical, some tall, some bent over like they weren't fully human. They didn't run. They didn't rush me. They just watched as one of them approached with a needle. They didn't stab me. They didn't slice. They erased me like I was never there. One final message. This story didn't come from me. It came from them. Because this isn't just a warning. This is an invitation. They say you're safe. Reading this on your phone, scrolling, giggling with your friends on Discord, cracking jokes in YouTube comments. But that's how it starts. They've already seen you. They know how long you've watched, how long your screen stayed lit, how many times you paused. Every second you spend with this story, they feed. And when the time comes, you won't be the hider, you'll be the trade.